it's Allie Edwards, and welcome back to another little adventure here in Pieces of the Past. We, as a community, are documenting this together during this particular week, but if you're coming to this video at any point in time, you could always go in and respond to the 7 particular prompts that we have in this project. It is linked via a blog post that you can find below. Yesterday, so the first day we did Family of Origin. There's a look at that one. Then yesterday was Most Loved Toy, and today's prompt is a childhood adventure. So as I was brainstorming back on potential childhood adventures that I could include or tell the story of here, I thought a lot about adventuring on rivers. That's what we did. My dad has a drift boat. That was what we did a lot of the times as our adventures. And sometimes we did big trips on the Rogue River here in Oregon. A lot of times it was just smaller rivers around Tacoma, Washington, where I grew up. So I was thinking specifically about that. And in this case, for this project, as you guys know, I do have some photos from my childhood, and I've got some of us in the drift boat, on rivers, that kind of thing. And as I went back, flipped through a couple of the photo albums, one of the pictures I came across is this one. And I'm pretty sure I used this in a layout, again, a long time ago. Like, you know, could have been a layout that I did 15 years ago or something like that. But this is a photo that I love, and it feels very representative of us on adventures, because not only did we adventure to rivers, but my dad worked in the timber industry, and so we did a lot of adventuring in the car, either to the woods or to check out other log yards. It was just kind of like, that was what we did on the weekends. And so when I think back about childhood adventures, it's a lot of either being in the car like this or it's on the river. And so because I love this photo so much, I decided that I wanted to use this one as to fill up both pages, or at least a portion of it. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do something similar to what I did on the first day here with this flap. So I'm thinking I'm going to do that again. I'm going to cut this, but this time I'm going to actually take this piece out. So take this top part out so that the spread will be across these 2 pages, and then I will have this one in here that I can do something on top of. And I think what I'm gonna do is just really use some big stamps and stamp out some sentiments. And maybe I'll do that on like one side where it becomes almost like it's this one here, right, where I created a pattern, right? So maybe I create a pattern with some alpha stamps, and then on the other side, maybe I either handwrite or type something up that will go on the other side of this, and then you'll see the big picture over the 2 pages. So that's my initial thought. Another thing that I did think about, and this is a great opportunity to use stuff in your stash. I had some big half circles in my stash. I was also thinking that this, could be a page in and of itself. Just imagine like this page is either completely out of here, where I could add in a page turning something that either had my journaling on it, or I could do some embellishing to have that half circle in there, or to just add in a journal card. Here's an example from a past notebook. This was from my summer notebook last year, where I included a journal card in with the spread, right? So there's a journal card on one side, and then I put a photo on the other side, and that's just adhered in with a little piece of cardstock that's adhered underneath this piece of paper right here. And here's another example of doing a full page photo. This is one, I totally love this one too. And so I also love just going ahead and adding a journal card right on top of the photo. So that's something that I could do with this one, right? I could probably fit a journal card right there if I wanted to. So that would be another option for tackling this inside the notebook. But I think I'm gonna do something with this again. That's gonna give me, ooh, even this could, look at that might be really fun to add on there. This is how these things start going. Start getting a little crazy of like, oh, how could I add that in there? Okay, I'm gonna dive in. All right, first step in the process today is cutting that top portion, the portion above the prompt area, from the notebook. So I just trimmed it, cut it, and then just pulled it out. So then I have that single page. Then next up was trimming out my photo. Again, this photo, I'm pretty sure that it's printed 8.5 by 8.25, knowing that I will be cutting it down to about 4 1/4 as the width for each of the pages. Couple things I was thinking about as I was doing this too. You'll see that I'm holding out, or I'm going to measure again just to double check, because I've talked about how sometimes I like to leave more of the photo on there to be able to trim it off the edges. But in today's case, I went a lot closer and was pretty close in terms of how they ended up, just with a little bit that needed to be trimmed. Okay, a couple things that I wanted to mention as I was doing this, a couple things I thought about as I was selecting this photo and cropping this photo is I knew that I didn't want to cut anybody's faces off or have anybody's faces be down the middle. So I did think about that as I was cropping this photo to fit in this size, which ends up being about 8.5 by 8.25. So that was something that I did definitely keep in mind. I love how this looks. I love how this turns out. So I could definitely, that's gonna be, I might have to do that. Like, that just feels like that's such a fun addition on there and a fun way to play with the paper. I'm in the process right now of typing up the journaling that I'm going to have on the back, and I pulled out one of the older photos because I wanted to show you guys what I'm doing with these, which is a little bit different approach than I've taken with my older pictures in the past. So in the past, I've done a variety of things with my older pictures. I have scanned them in individually when I needed them, just here on a scanner. I have sent some negatives to be digitized. I did that. That was a number of years ago now. But the way that I'm doing these now is simply using my phone. So I'm taking a picture of a picture. I don't want to use the original picture. I want to put this back into the album. But I just take my phone and I put it on a white piece of paper, and I just take a picture of it, and then I upload it to my computer, and then I can crop it and adjust the size. So what I'm thinking is that since I do want to be able to use this on the top here, I'm thinking that I can take this part of the picture of my dad and my siblings, and that I could size it down to fit on this. So I'm gonna take my phone over to my computer, I'm gonna upload that picture into my photo app, and then I'm going to, this is about 4 inches wide by 2 inches tall. So I'm gonna do a 4x2 print of this photo, probably shrinking it down a little bit, right, so that we can all fit in there. And then that will go on the back here with the journaling. And I'll probably just tuck this down inside a little bit there to keep it in the right place. All right, so I went ahead and printed that out. Ended up being about 4x2. So it should be able to fit that right on the other side of this. So let's go ahead and just cut this out. This part of the story half circle, I think, is from the whole story kit. I'm pretty sure that's where that one was from. So you guys might have some of these kind of pieces, or they were the add-ons, either this one or the other half circle. But you could always just cut your own half circle too if you like the idea of having something along the top, or look in your own stash and see, do you have you know, a circle that could be cut in half, right? Some sort of circle embellishment that could go along the top. Okay, so that's what that's gonna look like. I might need to trim around there a little bit, try to get it in the right spot. But that's so fun. Oh my God, I love it. Okay. And I also like that because I was able to get my dad in there too, right? This is a picture of just us. So here's my journaling that I printed out. I printed it out just on copy paper, or, you know, paper on our laser printer. I don't think it really matters. That was what I did this one on, so I decided to do that same thing. So this is gonna get cut out and placed on the back, and then I'm gonna be able to add these two on there as well. Next step here was trimming out my journaling. I ended up doing that journaling block. I think it was 4¼ by 4¼ I measured it at some point and then made that over on my computer, and then trimmed that down and went ahead and adhered it right onto that flap. I'm leaving off the glue along the top right now. Because I want to wait and see how I'm gonna get those guys in there, but I want to get this set on here first. All right, after I got that adhered in there, then I wanted to start dealing with that half circle section there, the half circle piece. That was actually, I found out, was cut from a journaling card from the whole story kit. Adhering those back to back and then picking up my scissors and just kind of trimming around the little spots where it was imperfect or where you could see the other side. Just doing a little bit of cleanup there on this one. And then my idea was to simply try to adhere that between the journaling that I am adhering on top of the notebook page and then obviously the notebook page itself. And what I kind of tried a couple things just to see like how far down did I need to stick that in there. And at first it was really loose, and so then I took my rolling adhesive and ran a little bit more through there. That's where I could flip it back open a little bit and then tucking this half circle piece inside. I'm going to talk more about the steps that I do next in just a second here. So I'm feeling a little worried here that this isn't in there enough. So I think I'm going to look either at, it's like it just needs a little bit of something. It's adhered in there. I think it will probably be fine. I could staple it, but I was going to see either if I had some washi tape or it'd have to be pretty thin ribbon. Let me see if I... All right, I found some washi tape. This actually is really old washi tape. Katie ended up finding it for me. It's from Freckled Fawn, and it's like from 2016, so not available anymore, but you might have something similar in your stash. I love it. Black with the gold typewriter foil. That's perfect. So as you can see here, I'm having to go back in and kind of I'm having to tuck couple little pieces, cut a little pieces out. This is just where the washi happens to fit with the way that things are lined up. Anyway, it's not a big deal. It's just what it is. And you get to see the top of my head while I'm doing that. I do also end up going in and adding 2 tiny attacher staples. In the end, I felt like I just wanted a little bit of extra hold on there, and then I almost always try to grab my bone folder and push down on the staples, the back of the staples, just to make sure that they stay in the right place. I do end up adding some chipboard stars to this one. That's been something that I've kept consistent over the last couple prompts or the last couple days there. A lot of times when I'm doing a project like this, once I get into it, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to keep doing the same stuff, or I'm going to keep repeating the same thing. So here is where, in a very sped up motion, because this is individual single letter stamping, which is still how I like to do it because I like to have more control. Excuse me. This is the Typewriter alphabet stamp set that we have. We do have a few of these left. We released these with the One Little Word project this year, but obviously they can be used for anything. What I decided to do here is I am following what I did on Monday for Family of Origin and creating a pattern. And so this one is a custom pattern, custom text-based pattern using ing words that were related to the story that I wrote. So I wrote my story first, and I knew that I included stuff about driving and stuff about floating down the river, about fishing. So those are the words that I am deciding to add on to there. And I'm doing this directly into the notebook. And you can see that I'm using an extra little piece of paper there to be able to protect both my photo and the top part of the prompt there. I just wanted to have that straight line that was originally a part of the design. I wanted to keep that there and have my stamps just meet right up to the top point of that. For the spots where I knew that a whole word wasn't going to fit there, I just put ing, and then I thought of another word like adventuring. I kind of used that a couple times where I just needed a few letters in the space. But floating, driving, and fishing, I think, are the main ones that I end up getting on there. And again, this is using that Tim Holtz Scattered Straw ink color, which just felt like a fun one for this particular project. And you can definitely do more than one letter at a time, but like I mentioned previously, I just like having more control and being able to place them down in specific spots rather than having, I like to make them closer together is usually what it is, the actual letters themselves closer together. So creating a pattern like this is really fun, especially when you are using custom words that relate to your story, right? What are the pieces of your own story that would never appear necessarily on a pattern paper, right? That's something that you can think about. And this is a great way to use alpha stamps that you have in your stash. Listening, that was the other one I wrote on there because we talked in my journaling, I talked about listening to the song American Pie by Don McLean, and that we used to listen to that song all the time, and it was on the radio all the time because that's how we listened to it. I don't even think that there was a tape. Anyway, so then I'm moving on to the next page, adding a couple chipboard stars on there, doing one above my head and then one that's just on the half circle photo there that I added on. Just having a few little chipboard pieces was fun. Now at this point, I was going back and forth a whole bunch about whether or not I wanted to add an embellishment directly onto that pattern paper that I put on there. And so you see me going through a variety of things. Some of them are travel product related. Some of them are just other things that I had in my stash. Nothing ended up sticking for me on this one. And I actually end up adding a stamp on top using the remembering stamp that is on the Pieces of Past stamp set, and then pairing that with another stamp that is on the Pieces of Me stamp set. And you'll hear me talk a little bit more about that in a minute. All right, just a quick review on this one. I ended up carrying some of these same things that I did here, right, with that same ink color, which is the Scattered Straw from Tim Holtz, using the large alpha stamp there. Loved that. So just some ing words. Ended up adding on some more stamping. You guys saw me go through a bunch of different things. I just felt like if I didn't have the top part, I would absolutely 100% be adding in an embellishment right on top of there. But because I had that part, it just felt like there was too much competition. So I just left that. I'm happy with that as it is. Love this page. Love the story with the photo and then the little bit of washi tape on there, and obviously it's imperfect, but I'm totally fine with that. And love just the background photo. So a really fun way to tell a story in a notebook and to document a story of adventuring as a kid. All right, I'll see you guys back here again tomorrow.